Hello everybody. Today we're going to work on the landing gear, especially the brakes. In an earlier session we already inserted the gear legs, both the left and the right gear leg, into the engine mount. As you know, the engine mount is a standard Lycoming engine mount from Vans, and we have a special extension module on top of it because we have a lighter engine. Inserting the gear legs was actually very hard. Turns out that because of the powder coating, all the steel is powder coated, including the gear legs. It just makes it a little bit thicker, and it makes it really hard to insert. So I've later found that it would be easier that you just slightly sand the inside of the, or actually the outside of the gear leg. So don't touch the engine mount, and get a little of the powder coating off, so it gets easier in there. Anyway, we've done that. So then there's the brake system. It's actually quite simple once you understand it, but I didn't, so it took me a while. There is a flange, a little white steel flange, and it is attached to the gear leg on the bottom side, and on that flange the brake discs are attached. The problem was that as soon as you attach the flange, I think it deforms a little bit, I'm not sure, and then the brake discs that fit perfectly when it's not on the axle, it doesn't fit anymore. So probably the best thing to do is, I guess, insert the bolts already into the brake disc and the flange. I didn't do that because I didn't know it, but I think the flange just deforms a little bit under the pressure of the attachment, which made it hard to insert the discs, or actually the bolts of the discs later. Again, don't sand anything of the axle or of the try to sand as little as possible, because you don't want any play or other stuff in there. Here we drilled the flange, and what I said earlier, it fitted perfectly when it was not attached, but as soon as so here it works great, and then when we inserted the bolt which fixes the flange to the axle, then somehow it deforms a little bit. I'm not sure. The primed plate on the inside is the attachment point for the wheel pans, the wheel fairing, and it didn't really fit that well, so I had to modify it a little bit. I do that right here. There are two of them, of course, on the left and on the right side. So I tried to do them in union, so they have the same, well, let's say the same part cut out, to see if it works. We do the left gear at the same time, so we try to do it, let's say, synchronously, so on both sides. And every time when you learn something on one side, you can of course apply that on the other one. So always the second one is much faster and easier. But yeah, you have to learn. So here I take both the plates, as you can see, the wheel pan brackets together, so they have the same deformment. So that's good. Now we tried it many times. Every time when we fit a little bit, and then we release it again, and then we have to look into it. So this is not something that you can do very fast. Well, probably if you've done it a few times. But as a beginner on the brakes, it took a lot of figuring stuff out. And although there are not many moving parts, it still took a lot of time to do that. One other thing is that we completely assembled everything, including the wheels. Later, when you are working on the wheel pans and the fairings, it says that you have to get the wheels off again. So I guess at this point, although it is on one page in the manual, maybe it's not the idea to assemble it completely, because while you were doing the gear branch you have to put stuff off again. So, well, we did it in one piece, and then later we had to improvise on the wheel fairings, but you will see that in a later video. And also what we didn't install right now is the brake lines. So we just worked on the brakes, the discs, and the wheels, and not so much the brake lines. Here we had the problem, as I said earlier, so we couldn't get the bolts in, and that took us a lot of time. And again, I think it was due to the fact that that this flange somehow deformed a little bit. Also, what I didn't know is that the brake it actually consists of two parts. It looks like it's one piece, but it's two parts, two half cylinders, you could say. And you can just slide it out of there. I didn't know that. So it's not one fixed piece. I could have known it because there was a little tire wrap around it, and I thought, well, that's useless tire wrap in the packaging. But it turns out these are just two pieces that you can disconnect very easily. So yeah, that was an eye-opener. When we found that, it was much easier to install it. But as you can see, it still took a lot of time. Also, the position is not great. You have to lie on your back and on the ground. We cannot get the plane in a higher position, so yeah, it's not very ideal working on the ground, but okay. Actually, the left side went easier. That's probably because when you do stuff on one side and you make small mistakes, then on the other one you don't make those mistakes. So that was easier on the left side, and that one fitted quite good. But on the right side we had a lot of issues, as you can see. And then there's a part of the brake line plug on the top that needs to be attached. It turns out that I had leakage on both sides of the brake lines due to the fact that the way that they drill the plug into the brake disc was really not ideal. There was a little, very slight hole in there, so that made it leak. Okay, continuing building my pie in the sky.